I just wanted to start off by asking how many of you are SMEs, small business owners? Just by show of hands. The majority of you guys. How many of you work for companies that really deal with small businesses? Okay. I'm sure most of you are experiencing a whole range of different challenges. Any idea why that is? Sir, maybe you to start.
It's just the current state of the economy. Maybe most people that started very new, so don't have anything to sell because rent. It's tough.
Okay. Okay. So the current state of the economy seems to be a big one. How many of you really understand each other? How many small businesses know how big business works? All the procedures, the purchase orders you need, the vendor forms. But how many of the big businesses actually understand the challenges that the small businesses are going through? How it took that person to start a business, suddenly become the chief operating officer, the CEO, the chief marketing officer, and everything in between. Chief bottle washer as well. So we're going to be speaking about startup. We're going to be talking about some of those challenges and closing that gap between how people actually understand each other, each other's business, whether it's small business with big business, and how we can actually start creating real collaboration rather than seeing the big guys as gobbling me up as the small business, or maybe be other small businesses being competitors, which it's a dog-eat-dog world, but it doesn't have to be. So to start, I'm just going to show you a video of how maybe things could work.
Isn't it nice when things just work?
A little bit of an old ad from Honda, but it really exemplifies what a small business should run like but often doesn't. You have to use innovation all the time. We have to find different ways of taking the resources we have at our disposal and making multiple uses of them, as you saw over here. Before we go on, we're going to start looking at a few of the stats. We're going to start understanding what is this environment that we find ourselves in with a small business environment. What is it? What is the nature of the beast? And what is the buying power, literally? What is the marketing power? What is the potential for big business and small business to really do work together? So, some basic stats. And because I come from a bit of a more academic environment, we like giving credit where it's due. So the University of Stellenbosch and the Bureau of Education and Research, thanks very much. 2,251,821. What does that number mean to you guys? Just going to move out the way. Any ideas? Sorry? 1/10 of Jacob Zuma's house. Okay. That's actually the number of SMMEs in this country as of 2016. That is pretty substantial. The people here who run their own businesses, you pretty much think you're alone. Often you feel this is the environment that is absolute dog eat dog. I'm on my own. There's no one around. Well, clearly you have another 2,251,820, and I'm not Jacob Zuma, so it's not 225,790 to 330. Okay. Next, 667,433. Any ideas? That's the number of formal SMEs in this country. Registered, SIPs. 1,497,860. Those are my informal SMEs in this country. And finally, 14%. That is the percentage of SME owners as a percentage of total employment in this country. A massive contribution to this country, and if we are supported as SMEs, the economy grows. We can see why we've just gone into a recession here. SMEs are not supported the way they should be. So now that we've got an understanding of the sort of numbers, and I'm keeping them very simple, I could have given you a lot more statistics. Let's start looking at some of the trends that are actually happening worldwide rather than here. South Africa, we know, is generally a step behind in some respects, and in others it actually is ahead. But some of those trends, outsourcing for growth, we're going to talk about each of these now. Video advertising marketing is king. SME friendly technology, and the one that we all want, that golden egg from the golden goose, we want our customer retention. So, outsourcing for growth, what does it mean? It means that in order for a business to really grow, we can't be a master of everything. We have to start outsourcing certain core functions. How many of you started a business knowing about the areas that are not core to your business? Marketing, finance. You probably knew about the operations, or you just had an idea. Okay? But how many of you actually understand the procurement cycle behind that? Now, quick question. How many of you actually do outsource? Okay, great. Pretty few of you as a comparison to the rest. And that pretty much fits in with the statistics that we have out there. Video advertising has now gone big as well. Does anybody here use video advertising or marketing? Okay. Was that costly? Okay. So is it professionally done or not? Professionally done, proper sound studio, green. Okay. Now that's pretty much acceptable. But if I told you that you have the potential to partner with companies that actually are going to do the job for you, and if you start looking at a collaboration between them rather than a fee or a service provider relationship, would that make more sense for you? Would you be open to things like that? Okay. I'll give you some examples of what we've done within my business. SME-friendly marketing technology. There's a lot of marketing technology out there, automation, etc., and it is really a bunch of mumbo-jumbo to the average guy out there. How many of you actually use marketing technology effectively? Okay, so you'll see I'm gathering a few stats on you as we go along. Sorry? Okay. And lastly, customer retention. If I asked you guys what is the single most important thing within your business, apart from the initial sale, you're probably all going to put your hands up right here. This reduces your cost of sale. And we're not in business to make money, we're in business to make profit. Let me just repeat that. We're not in business to make money, we're in business to make profit. The moment we think we are only in this to make money, we forget about our costs. And suddenly you find that you're in debt. But if we are able to maximize the value of what we do and the value we get from our suppliers, suddenly that profit starts showing itself. Other things that we really need to look at and that are showing growing trends in the SME market is authenticity. How many of you actually go and put on a facade when you go to a corporate client because you think, you're speaking a bit too loud, that you think that the corporate wants to hear that, but they don't necessarily want to hear your real story, or they don't want to know the story behind your business? When I started up, that was the case. I felt I had to go in a three-piece suit if I was going to visit a banking client, and the guy came in a shirt, no tie, chilled, relaxed, and we just spoke. But I had this fancy presentation sorted out, and invariably I wouldn't actually get to it. Waste of their time, waste of my time. Many of you have websites as well. Okay? Be true to your clients, be true to yourselves. Tell them about it, but at the same time, give them as much information as you possibly can that's going to help you sell, that's going to help you market, that's going to help you grow their business. Don't look at it from your perspective. Look at it as what does my client, my future customer, or even my supplier actually want from me? A big one as well is marketing through influencers. And what do I mean by that? Before the session before, Femi spoke about word of mouth. Word of mouth is actually one of the biggest ways for you to grow your business. He showed you as 83% of marketing and trust actually comes from word of mouth. Well, your raving fans are the guys who really are the ones who are going to create an influence. Came across a company quite a few years ago, marketing company, that specifically had guys in the townships trying to find out the latest trends of what was going on, which sneakers the kids were wearing, what they were drinking, why vanilla Coke never really took off. And literally they got the value from the audience simply because the people who they were employing were influential in their individual communities, within the townships, within the small little dorps in the middle of the Free State in Limpopo and in Mpumalanga. The other way of doing it is to start creating associations with formal organizations, locally and internationally. And because we're South African and we're at the tip of the continent and we really are pretty separated from the rest of the world, doesn't mean that we can't start talking to guys in the EU or in the States or in Asia. And why do we have to be scared with them when they have huge masses of people? We have 57 to 60 million people in this country. If we just look at India, 1.2 billion people potentially in your market, irrespective of what your business is. And then, probably the most important after that customer retention As a business owner, you need to be omnipresent in a very tight, defined market. Simply put, you need to focus. The moment a guy comes to me and he says, I can do your branding, and I'll do your logo, and I'll tell you what, I'll do your public relations as well, and then the next day he's trying to sell me water, he loses a sense of credibility amongst me. But if I go to a client and literally say, this is what I do, I will focus on that. If you want anything else, I have a network of people. I can become that influencer for other people. So what industry are you in? Sorry? Photographics. I'll stay away from there. Photographic. Okay. It works incredibly well with a number of different avenues within marketing, but how many guys come across and think they actually can become a photographer, professional photographer? It's the same principle I was saying with this gentleman over here about the videos. It's great. Do your own videos. But if you want to look that bit more professional, start creating those associations with other companies and focus on what you're best at, which might not necessarily be making the videos. Okay. Trends out of America, specifically related to marketing, show that social media management is only used by less than 50% of people. But we're in the digital revolution. We're in the digital age. It's incredible how many people actually do not see the power of managing their audience properly. And how many customers or potential customers are you actually losing? Website analytics goes hand in hand with that. As you can see, 38.5%. We'll leave out the middle one for the moment because there are a whole range of people, nearly 30% of people who don't use website analytics. They don't use marketing management, even an email marketing service. Sorry. Things like SEO, digital, marketing automation. How many people actually have some form of marketing automation within their business? Seated right here. One left. I've noticed you actually are doing a lot of these things, which is fantastic. But it must be pretty lonely feeling like you're the only person who actually is on top of the game. And I'm not saying that all of this has to be applicable within your business. You really need to understand your own businesses first before you can start looking at what's going to work. So when it comes to, let's go back to social media, how many of you are on Facebook with your businesses? Great. How many on LinkedIn? Same people. How many of you use Twitter? Okay. Now, how many of you use something like Instagram? Why? Why Instagram? What's different about Instagram from a Twitter, from a LinkedIn, from a Facebook? Would you like to share? Okay, fair enough. I won't put you on the spot.
Personally, Instagram is picture content related, and I just started a restaurant, so I'm sending out mouth-watering dishes and plates and stuff for you to come and
Okay.
eat with your eyes and then eat at my space.
Perfect. The sensors are probably the most important, and each of the different social media avenues opens up a new range of sensors. The only one we haven't got right yet really is smell. Okay. Now, how many of you are using YouTube? And YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world after Google. It's far more powerful actually than Facebook. And it's simple video, and I know I keep on harping on it, can make far more impact than any other form of medium because it's using sound, it's using visuals, and you can get a whole range of other things through as well at the same time. The guys that use none of the above usually, and you'll see why that comes out, it's usually because of a fear of technology, etc. So, now that we kind of have some trends, I'm very briefly just going to go through a basic model of communication, because marketing and communication is much the same thing. If you think of your business, what you want to get out there is the message that we continually see along each of these different channels. You are the source as the business owner, whether you are a small business or whether you are a large business as well. It is absolutely critical that you know what that particular message is. What's even more critical is how you, as we call it, encode it. Because that is the message, that it's how you package it. And then using the channels that we were talking about. So those two, if we go back to what we were just talking about before, your channels are things like YouTube, email marketing, Facebook, influencers that you work together with. Variety of those. But if they get it wrong, and somehow that message gets decoded incorrectly, the person who you really want to get your message, the receiver, gets garbled nonsense. It's like the game that most of us used to play when we were kids, Broken Telephone, where you have 20 different people all receiving a message one by one. The person at the beginning has the original message, and by the time you get to the 21st person, they have no clue what's been said. So at all times, you need to manage this process properly, effectively. And that's where the outsourcing comes in a huge way. The only way that you really know that your message has gotten out there is with your feedback. And all the time, we have this thing right at the top there called noise. So, when I'm choosing my channel, I've got so many different social media platforms. When my receiver is finding out what I do, photographics, how many other photographers are there? What am I going to look at? Am I going to rate him on value, quality, price, location? Is he the right demographic for me as well? And these are all the things that start changing their message, and as a business owner, you need to adapt to each of these. Keep those all in mind when we start looking at what are the realities that SMEs really are experiencing. And I specifically put challenges next to opportunities there, because one person's challenge is another person's opportunity. So the first one we always see with small businesses is the CEO is also often the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer. I can see it's resonated with you. Okay, well done. So what's the real challenge here? If you are the CEO, that is a full-time job in any company. The Chief Marketing Officer is a full-time job. Probably it requires a whole lot of extra time as well. So the real problem, you don't necessarily have the time, you don't necessarily have the skill. Now I'm asking you as an audience to think, if this is a challenge for me, how can I turn that into either an opportunity for me, or if I see another company that is experiencing this challenge, how can I turn that into an opportunity for my business? The next one. Many small businesses just simply aren't ready for a digital world. South Africa, we always talk of ourselves as being behind. It's not really true. It's the mindset. And that's where a digital world really starts. If our mindset is not geared to thinking in the way that the rest of the world is, we're always going to be behind. The opportunity or the challenge there, again, expertise. We're starting to see a bit of a trend, and knowledge. Finally, marketing is a mystery to many small business owners, and they do not have the time to market. These are just things that I've come across with small businesses, business owners who have said to me, this is my excuse. And I don't believe in excuses. I believe in finding ways to actually create opportunity. Again, time and expertise. Can you donate your time and expertise at a fee to someone else for your services and grow your business while helping another small business grow theirs? We mentioned this before, gaining and retaining your customers. That is simply the top goal within any business, apart from sales. How many of you had sales experience when you started your business? Again, 1, 2 people, 3. Okay. How many of you thought you had sales experience, could manage the sales yourself, realistically? Okay. Well, outsourcing your sales and customer service is probably the most important of the lot, because without sales, the lifeblood of your organization just simply dries up. And I've experienced this myself with the first business I started. Sales dried up, business died. It's as simple as that. And I don't want to see that happen with anyone else because it's bloody damn painful. The average small business marketing strategy isn't diversified. So by that I mean, who are you actually marketing to? How are you marketing to them? If you're using email marketing and that's been working for you, fantastic. But as your audience, as your potential customer base grows and changes, don't you think you should too? I come out of the training industry to a large extent. I know of a business that was doing incredibly well. Probably they were busy 200, 250 days a year, just with public workshops, 300 people at a time. And they only used email marketing. I had a chat with the owner of the business 10 years, 15 years after he started the business, and suddenly things had dried up. He was worried. What can we do? But you're already behind the ball curve there. And that is where you guys need to start being innovative. If you're not innovative, if you're not ahead of the game, chances are someone's going to take your market share. And it's very difficult to get it back. First to market is always key. So, use technology, build your expertise. Small businesses are getting more social, but mostly on Facebook. I asked you a bit earlier, is Facebook working for you? Facebook is a social engagement platform. It wasn't designed originally for people to be out there and actually marketing themselves or their businesses. I'm not saying it doesn't work, because Facebook is now doing 1 billion adverts a month. That is enormous. And it is the biggest reach. And now that they're buying out and merging with everyone else, it's getting bigger. But the funny thing is, YouTube still remains a better option for you in terms of using a social media platform. If you want to get a short, sharp message out there, in your 140 characters, Twitter can be very powerful. Pinterest, however, may just be an alternative for very graphic businesses as well. And that limited approach is killing small business as well. Small business owners haven't embraced the tools that can aid their marketing efforts. So, I'm pretty sure that some of you are using some form of CRM system or ERP system. How many of you really are? One person. What is the reason that you chose that particular CRM system?
Subscription-based company, and managing our customers and all our CRM just became too much. So we just had to automate just to get the whole of our
Yeah. So your customer retention, 100%. Cost was a factor. There are CRM systems that are open source that are 100% free for the basic systems. They are coming up, it's one of the most innovative industries around. They have immediate buyout of the software, which is your biggest cost. Or if you want to manage your cash flow, which with all small businesses is king, not cash, then they have different packages as well. And I'm not promoting any one, so you will not hear any names from me. But again, we seize knowledge, expertise, time. It's the same themes that keep on coming up all the time with each of these different problems that call yourself the CEO of your SME are experiencing. You can't be all things to all people all the time, everywhere. So, the best advice I can give you is that you need to, as Curly said in City Slickers, the answer to life is just one thing, but you have to find out what that is. We found out the 6 things within my business that work for me, that work for my partners, that work for our customers. I'm just going to share some of those. You obviously need to work on your own, but what has worked for us is simply that we've been building the brand. Now, building the brand doesn't mean going to one of the companies just around here and getting a great logo and a t-shirt with your brand on it. Because that is, it's really not going to get you out there. You need to live the brand 24 hours a day. Whenever you are awake, you always have to be looking for those opportunities, creating that relationship. Some people move into businesses and they actually don't know how to strike up a conversation. Do it. Promote yourself. Punch yourself. You're not being over the top. You simply are fighting for your livelihood, for the livelihood of every single person that you employ as well. What's worked for us as well is that we constantly review what we've done within our business. What works, what doesn't work. If it doesn't work, how do we improve it? Don't throw it away. And if it works, how do we make it better? I've mentioned as well the point of niching. Creating for yourself a very specific presence that is focused. In our industry, and I'll give you a little bit of a story with us. I started a training company, and we were all things to all people. Well, the training industry in South Africa has 23,000 accredited trainers. Okay, small companies, large companies, and everything in between, from a one-man show all the way through to multinationals employing 10,000 people. We picked this very specific niche, and it's why I picked that video right in the beginning. Because for us, production, manufacturing, whether it's automotive or not, it works for us. It's something that we found that our clients need, that our clients want, and most importantly, our end client is not the person who's necessarily paying for us, but the person who gets the education from our business. That's the blue-collar worker who hasn't had an opportunity to go possibly finish school, but at higher levels hasn't gone to university or college. Know your customers. Find out about your customers, and that doesn't just mean what they're buying from you, but get to know them. If they're having a bad day, might just be because of your product, might just be because of something else. And I'm not saying become their BFF. What I am saying is know the person from a psychological perspective, from a business perspective, from a financial perspective, how they think, how they operate, how that person ticks. Once you do that, your customer base starts opening up, and you can be more authentic with that person and that company as well. One thing that we started doing as well, which really, it seems like it should be natural to us, but it isn't. is key account management, where you actually profile people. Now, we're not going to start moving into the FBI here, but what we are doing is we're saying, do I get on with the person who is my point of contact at my client? Does that person want to speak to me, or do they want to speak to one of the other people within my organization? If you're a lone man, a single person in a company, it becomes a bit more challenging, unless you outsource. But if you can start finding ways to collaborate with people, whether it's in your business or out, you'll start finding that there are certain people who just don't get on with you, and there are people who get on with you famously. And you will actually sell more when there's this, let's call it a kinship, friendship, relationship, whatever you want to call it. And finally, how do you adapt? The world is changing. South Africa was left behind for a while because of our mindsets. We're catching up fast. We really are. And we have a massive market because the world is coming to Africa, not necessarily us having to go to the world. But they would expect us to be up to standard with everyone else. Adapting doesn't just mean technology-wise. Adapting is your mentality, it's your personality, it's the way we do business, it's the policies and procedures that you follow, and understanding, again, who your client is and how they are changing. So to give you an idea of one way that we market,
Hi, I'm Dominic Galbebe. Does your business find it difficult to schedule training sessions for your employees? Are you losing valuable man-hours through classroom-based training? Are you struggling to reclaim your skills development levies in a way that suits your business's operational constraints? Would your business benefit from a flexible and effective skills development solution that any learner with a computer or mobile phone can access? If you answered yes to even one of these questions, then KVR Quebec's hybrid learning is exactly the solution you are looking for. Our hybrid learning platform and rapidly deployable courses will assist your business and employees in building the skills that are critical to your business's success, growth, and profitability. What's more is that your employees are able to earn credits from the courses they complete, and your business will benefit immensely too by increasing productivity and profitability, improving employee morale and loyalty, training more employees at a significantly lower cost without affecting your business's operations, recouping skills development levies and hitting skills development targets, and achieving your BEE skills development targets more easily. With all these benefits, can your business afford not to invest in KVR Quebec's hybrid learning? Contact us now and experience the power of our hybrid learning.
I'm not a video producer by any stretch of the imagination. We partnered with a company to do this. I didn't pay them a fee. We have the power as small businesses to negotiate, to find ways of creating a deal that will work. Okay? If you look at the actual content, we try to make as much use of visual, of auditory, and as color as well. And if you take a look, we specifically ask for the business. We ask people what their challenges are. We show them a way of presenting a solution, and then you ask for the business. And that's where a lot of small businesses come unstuck. We do all the hard work. We market, we graft. You've got the operations down pat. Excuse me. But at the end of the day, how many of you are actually saying, now bar? Now it's time to actually come to me and let me take over and let me take away all your stresses, whether that is a restaurant or any other form of business. And I haven't had a chance to find out what all of you do. I would like to know, though. My presentation has come to an end. If any of you would like to connect with me, those are my details. Our Facebook is KVR Quebeca. On Twitter, we at KVR Quebeca. You're welcome to email me directly, and that's our website as well. Thanks very much.